Sorry again. So the streaming software now mutes my microphone when I add myself to the stage. It wasn't this way before, so I apologize. Hello, hello, and welcome, my wonderful seekers and finders, to the Way of Truth number 66. If you are new here, my name is Artem Boydsev. I am a non-duality teacher, a spiritual teacher, and I live in San Francisco Bay Area. I teach the path to liberation through a combination of meditation, compassionate presence, direct transmission, and inquisitive dialogue. I host meditation and integration retreats. I see students at my home, so you're welcome to visit me. And I also provide guidance over video and text. In our Sangha, so we have a community, we have a beautiful Discord community. We focus primarily on accepting emotional experience, as in my practice, it is the major stumbling block, the major difficulty on the way to non-dual awareness naturally revealing itself. And it's also the most difficult subsequent spiritual work, even after awakening, even after awareness reveals itself. This continues to be important spiritual work. So that's what we primarily focus on. On this website, you can read a variety of my writings on the topic of spiritual awakening and enlightenment and the spiritual path. And it also contains links to schedule sessions with me, support our work, and the description of our retreats. So in these meetings, bi-weekly meetings, which happen every Sunday at 11 a.m., I speak with my students, I provide guidance, I answer questions. These are open meetings, everybody can join. They are broadcasted on YouTube and Instagram. And by far the best way to join these meetings is through the participation link, through Streamyard link. It's a browsing software. I just posted it to the YouTube chat. Here it is. And all you need is a browser. This is also the QR code if you wish to scan it. All you need is a browser and a webcam. So you open this link and you'll be able to join the guest room and we can have a conversation. So right now we have 2 people in the guest room. I will come back to them shortly. And but for whatever reason, if you don't wish to do it, you can also submit your comments and questions to YouTube chat. I will be able to bring them on screen just like this and address them to the best of my ability. So, all right. So to some news. We are still planning to do a in-person gathering, a retreat in Costa Rica. So to those of you who have been on our retreats, we're planning to make this a slightly longer one, about 5 days instead of 3 days, so that after the 2-3 days of intense spiritual work that usually happens in our retreat, we'll have a couple of days to decompress, enjoy nature, enjoy the beach, if we have access to the beach. So we will rent a beautiful house, as we always do, in with ample access to nature, some privacy. And the weather is very nice in Costa Rica, so it's going to be an adventure. It's kind of like a spiritual vacation, if you wish. So we're still looking for participants. So if you are interested, please send us an email to retreats@truefreedom.org. I will post very quick. Sorry. Yep, I will post very quick. This is the email address if you wish to participate and express your interest. So we don't know yet if it's going to happen or not. So it depends on how many participants will express interest. So right now we're kind of almost on the border. So if we don't have enough people expressing interest, then we're also considering organizing a smaller retreat in California, smaller compared to our previous retreats. So maybe for something like 8, 10 people. So uh, our retreats usually aren't very large, up to 15. So possibly in the same location, which many of you know. It's also a beautiful location. And this time, though, of course, it will be a little different because it's winter and there might even be some snow there. um, so if you're interested, please send us an email or um, contact me or Katya on Discord. And mm, there was something else I wanted to say, but I forgot. All right. Yeah. So that's it. Please let us know. All right. So right now, let's go into it. So right now we have one person in the waiting room. His name is Pedro, and I'm going to bring him. Yep, I can see you, and I'm going to bring him on stage right now.
Hello, am I on?
Hello, my
Okay,
friend.
now I'm on stage.
Yes,
Hello.
now you are. Yes.
Hello, Artem. How are you?
Thank you. Good.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for opening this space. I joined your Discord quite recently, although I've been like seeing your videos and also like going through all the questions in your website for quite a while, and it's very interesting to have like this opportunity to talk to you. And I have actually like I have kind of like 4 doubts about the process that I'm going, how to better navigate it. Like I'm
4? You said 4?
4.
4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 3. Like 2 are kind of intertwined.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so the thing is, I've been a meditator for something like 7 years so far. And what first started as just like a technique to cope with the pressure from work and the anxiety that was coming out of it has expanded itself in my life. And I'm not able to say if I'm an awakened person or not, but I know that I'm definitely going through a dark night of the soul for a few months, I would say. And it's a tough process, like because like things just like come, you know. And
Yes, I do.
yeah, and well, even by just like mentioning it without even getting to details, like I can already feel like the emotion coming through
Yes,
and
yes,
wetting my eyes.
and that is wonderful. And please take your time. And it's all right to cry. It's a very, it's a very intimate, deeply personal, very touching process. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
and
you really made me wet my eye too.
okay, thank you. And it all started. There was a moment that I just bumped into a video from a Brazilian, how can I say, coach for not only spiritual stuff but also like other stuff. That she had like a video for on a meditation for like releasing suppressed emotion. And then I say, okay, I'm gonna try. And then when I did it, I started to feel like a lot of like body shakes, like especially coming like from this area somewhere in the abdomen, like above, like below, slightly below the chest. And this thing like stayed with me with like quite a while. And I was doing sometimes this meditation, sometimes others, until there was a moment that, including like there was even like one situation where I was like under like high stress, like I'm a filmmaker, I'm a film director, that I was like between like shooting days of a project, and then I just felt like, okay, it's like I'm gonna have a full day, but I'll try to meditate and let's see where it goes. And I was just in bed, and I said like, okay, now I'll let the shake come, no matter how strong it comes, and let's just be, you know. And I was like also like full of stress from like the upcoming days of meditation of shooting. And then this meditation, like the shakes were so strong that they would look like a seizure if someone was looking from the outside. But this day was just like after that I had such a clear mind. It was just like the best experience that I had after in the whole year. It was like that very day, and it was like not like an amazing day. It was just like a work day, but it was like just special. But cutting the chase.
Do you still have doubts?
Yeah, yeah, and it really like opened my eyes to like how much like the freedom and the peace that we are looking to achieve is just like in your eyes. It's just in your filtering of the road itself. Like I remember that I was just like taking the train to the studios that I take every day, and it was like completely awesome. But then there was a moment that I touched something different using this meditation technique, that I had like a nightmare and I woke up scared, but I couldn't remember anything of what it was. I just had the sensation of being scared, but I was kind of like in my room, everything's safe. Then I said, okay, I'm going to sit, meditate, and I'm going to dig into this. And then when I start meditating, to dig into this, instead of seeing the fear, what I saw was actually self-disgust. Self-disgust from like not accepting that you are allowed to have fear as a man due to my upbringing. I was raised in like South Brazil, and it's a place with a like very strong macho culture that people don't allow themselves to be emotional and blah blah blah. And then it was like one of the weirdest meditations of my life. You know, I was like 25 minutes just like sitting with the sensation of self-disgust. It was kind of like, ooh, what is this?
And then one of the very important ones too.
Yeah, yeah. And then after that, then it really started, because on the next day I felt that like I was like really like getting to the attic, and my ego was just trying to stop me. Like I got depressed for 1 week. I got like horribly distracted. Like it was doing everything for me not to go there.
Yeah.
But I kind of like kept on going. And at the first things were really hard, but then it kind of like established a new balance. There was always like feeling stuff and liberating. And this has become my new normal. And then something like quite interesting happened, that after a while I was not even needing like to meditate anymore to access the emotion. Sometimes it was getting triggered by songs that I thought, okay, there's a certain song that if I listen to it now, I know that I'm gonna cry, and then I just put it and start.
Yeah, I did the same things.
Okay. This was my first question. If you think that the strategy of using songs, or sometimes even only imagining the songs to let things come, if you think it's a valid strategy.
Okay. I will answer all your questions. So, but first of all, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for coming and sharing, because I am absolutely convinced that, I just know it for sure, that a lot of people who are watching my Satsangs, a lot of people who are on my Discord, a lot of my students would completely be able to relate to you.
Oh, thank you.
And this is just exactly how the process goes. And you know, those labels, like whether I'm awake or not awake, you know, this is just labels. What you have experienced this day when you rode the train is precisely what an awakened state feels like. And actually, and it can go way, way deeper than that, with way more peace and openness and curiosity and joy. And I mean, this is what life is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Now another thing, and I think that you're already kind of beginning to grasp it on some
Yeah.
level. And so once you really uh, begin to grasp it, it's irreversible. You cannot stop. It's just
Yeah.
because there's just so much more to life than
You
what we
cannot unsee that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We it's we have these filters because the mind is consistently pulling our attention inwards, and it's because we have so much repressed emotions. We misperceive how beautiful everything is.
Yeah.
We misperceive how beautiful the reality is, how beautiful we are, how complex and perfect we are. You see,
Hmm. Yeah.
and so that's one thing. Another thing is what you're doing is exactly right. So there is no better way to do it.
Hmm.
It's mostly about allowing releasing uh, the suppressed emotions. It's mostly
Hmm.
about giving attention to things that we are routinely reject,
Hmm.
because that is the foundation of the dream. You see, that is
Okay.
the foundation of the dreaming life. Because in order to be continuously enmeshed, in order to be continuously immersed in the narrative of the mind, and putting and stop paying attention to the actual reality,
Yeah.
presence is also very attentive. It's very alert.
Hmm.
You see, stop paying attention to the beauty, stop appreciating. There must be some uh, unprocessed inner struggles, some unprocessed
Hmm.
inner pains. And this includes existential questions, of course, and many spiritual teachers
Hmm.
think about, talk about God, reality, universe. But the truth
Hmm.
is even in our struggle with existential questions, the more personal things are unresolved, the more we struggle with them, actually, because the existential questions, if we really sum them up, they oftentimes just boil down to the very simple: life shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
You see, there's something off here. You see, and so in this and along with this kind of suppression, we are fed by society, by the culture, many lies to justify
Hmm.
them. You see,
Yeah.
like how do you, when you're a small innocent child, how do you get to grow into a man that thinks that crying is shameful,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You need to do two things. First of all, you need to be told that many times, and then
Yes.
and then you need to be scared into stopping your tears when they come up until it becomes a habitual response.
Yes. Yes. Totally.
And then what happens? And then every time tears come up, you shame yourself. You begin shaming yourself, and you say, no,
Hmm.
this is really bad. I need to hold that. And you grow disconnected from your heart. And,
Yeah.
and you start accumulating this. So the awakening process is the reversal of that. In fact,
Hmm.
it is much better to understand this early than to think and yearn and strive for awareness, because in truth, awareness is effortless because it's natural.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely natural. There was not a moment in your life when you was not aware, right?
Hmm.
What is not natural is to ignore it, ignore being aware, and focus primarily on the thought stream. And the thought stream is usually somehow either avoidant or judgmental or trying to escape the present moment,
Hmm.
all because there's so much to feel in the present moment, so
Yes.
much to feel that we
Yes.
reject. So there is nothing more important than this practice, and you're doing it completely correct.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
to the other, yes, I'm very happy that you have found us, and I'm very happy that you joined the Discord. That's exactly the practice that leads to the ultimate liberation. And that's, by the way, also exactly the practice that is most frequently overlooked.
Okay.
The people who don't do that cling to awareness. Oh, there's no body, no mind, everything just happens, and still continue to suppress the emotions. That's what is called spiritual bypassing. So now
Okay. Okay.
I'm just going over. I remember everything that you said, and I'm going over
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Please,
So
please do, please.
so a couple of things about what you mentioned. First of all, the fear is a very important part of this process. So
Okay.
because nothing is actually, I mean, fear has a role, of course, that something is dangerous, but because nothing is actually happening to you in reality, the fear in the spiritual path, the fear of in meditation, is the fear to actually see more of your own suppression and more of the lies. You see, like along with uh, I'm you correct me if I'm wrong, but oh no, you already told that. So before this experience of disgust, there was also a fear. It was just during the
Yeah.
night, and so you interpreted it
Yeah.
as connected to the nightmare. But whenever the fear comes, there is some story. The story is, of course, usually something's going to happen, something's going to happen. But what's actually going to happen, because nothing has actually happened to you in reality, what's actually going to happen is that you're going to see more or experience more.
Okay.
The fear is very important. The fear is kind of how we protect ourselves from seeing
Yeah.
more of the lies of the mind and seeing more of our own suffering, of our own suppression.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
completely normal. Yes, please.
No, no, just like one thought about this fear, because like one thing that I've experienced like in the very beginning of this process, right after this self-disgust, is that I kept on doing my meditation practice of something like, I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes of like emotional release. And sometimes it was very, how can I say, it was very um, scary that I could feel that, okay, I was like crying and feeling things go through. And then I thought, okay, it's like 45 minutes of this is enough. And at the end, I could have the sensation that it felt just like, okay, there's like an oil spill and I have a toothbrush. And it's like
Mm.
endless.
It feels like that in the beginning, right? So it feels like the suffering is endless, the pain is endless, that it's infinite. I mean, the
Yeah.
truth is the reality is infinite, the universe is infinite, the creation is infinite, the suffering is finite by definition, because all of the suffering is what was rejected before,
Okay.
right?
Okay, makes sense.
Right,
Makes sense.
when you were
If you
born,
end the rejection, you end the suffering. That's why
of
it's
course,
finite.
of course,
Although the pain in the road is endless anyway.
yes. Uh, I mean, the variety of experiences that you can have is infinite, right? But if you, like, why all of us remember our childhoods so fondly? Because we didn't suffer then,
Yeah.
right? It oftentimes feels like a return to a child, like this childlike state, completely present in the moment, filled with curiosity and wonder about the world. What you experienced on this train ride, right? Is
Yeah.
very much so, right? So we accumulate suffering when we get conditioned. So because your life from your birth to the present moment was not infinite, the amount of suffering that you will need to release will also not be infinite. It feels infinite. This is infinite. This is never going to end. Is the story of the mind that comes up when suffering is very intense. But
Okay.
even intense suffering ends, right? So it's a kind of a despondent, very desperate story.
Yeah.
That's all it is,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, because it's kind of seeing that I'm plowing through it and says, okay, you're never gonna make it. You're never gonna make it. Give up. Like, go elsewhere. Try something else. Just like
Don't even try to make it. I mean, you already made it. You're alive. I mean, all you need to do is simply to feel. You see, the thing is that this is a very kind of counterintuitive, paradoxical process that runs counter to what we were taught, right? It's not about making it somewhere. It's much more about accepting what's already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if the tears are there, they just need your crying. you know. And if the fear is there, it just needs some shaking and
Yeah.
things like that. So it's it goes away by itself.
Mm-hmm.
It goes away by itself when it runs its course. It goes away by itself.
Okay.
So so another thing that I wanted to mention, so this period, this very important meditation when you felt self-disgust, same thing, of course. A lot of people feel it either disgust towards yourself or towards others, and most of the time both, right? Self-hatred, self-disgust. It's also it's conditioned also. You see, you were told, you were basically taught to hate yourself. You were taught
Yeah.
because your natural, normal human reactions were
Yeah.
described to you as something despicable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you were little, you started to believe it.
Yeah.
So there's a view of yourself and the view of others, and the self view and the view of others are one and the same thing, that is filled with the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the judgment that goes away on the spiritual path. That's the same
Okay.
judgment that Jesus meant when he said, "Judge lest ye be judged." You know, we judge ourselves, we judge other people based on how we were taught what is right and what is wrong. It's completely perverted concepts. The truth is whatever you experience is right
Yeah.
at the moment. It cannot not be. You see? And so you see judgment, you see hatred, you see anger, you see grief, of course, and you go and you go and you go through those waves deeper and deeper into peace and stillness and awe and curiosity and wonder and relaxation and joy. That's exactly how the process goes. And if you feel like if you feel pulled to watch a movie or to listen to a song, to let those tears come, to cry them out, do exactly that. Actually, even on the Discord, we have channels for that. We have like special channel crying, fear. So when somebody feels like crying or somebody came up with something very touching, they can post a video, you know, and you can
Okay.
go through this. So I did the same thing. Listen to the song. Sometimes I even, as I walked around, I would start singing some song that was very touching for me personally, and then I would begin crying.
Oh, okay.
So you absolutely can use it. Absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Anything that
Cool.
helps you feel more deeply is actually good.
Okay. Good. Yeah. And then this also comes to my other thought, because I realized that in the beginning it was really like, okay, I'm overwhelmed by doing all this. Like I could not even like work properly, because after like 40 minutes of emotional reliefs and tears, like you cannot just go back to your emails and
Right? Yeah.
you know? And then and then also like by the end of the day, I was like around, I don't know, I was always doing this in the morning, and like about 8:30 p.m. I was already exhausted. I already wanted like to go to sleep, like because uh, it's it's so much you just get tired. But after a while I realized that I kind of like, in a certain sense, this has become the new normal, that it's
Yeah.
normal that I'm gonna cry every day, you know, and things are gonna come out. And then it started to be better, but then I started to notice that I was like quite distracted with social media and some other stuff. And then there was a day that
Notice what? Quite what?
distracted with social media, like just scrolling, you know. And then there was like this moment that a friend of mine, who's also a spiritual colleague, so to say, that I have in Berlin, that he said to me, "Hey man, let's do a Vipassana day in Potsdam, close by on a Sunday. There's gonna be one. Let's go there just to have one day." I said, "Yeah, why not?" And then I went there, and then I did the Vipassana, and I kind of realized why the Vipassana, because I already did a Vipassana retreat in the past, and I was quite impressed by the vastness of the technique in itself. As a meditation technique that you can start feeling things, and then eventually you're going to get to the subatomic level, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, okay, this is really like impressive. But there was something about it that I found quite complete, in the sense that you have like this body scan that they do that eventually leads you to emotional release, but you also have like these precepts of like how you should live your life, not to acquire new stuff that you need to clean up. And you also have like some meditation to keep your mind kind of like sharp, to have a sense of focus, so that you don't get like distracted and you're not adding stuff. And then I kind of like started like to ask myself, okay, I'm cleaning I have kind of like this jar, and I'm cleaning it up on a daily basis now. But am I filling it up when I'm distracted without noticing? And this is something that just like stayed in my mind. And then I started to do some meditation for like focus and other stuff for a while. And yeah, it just stayed in my mind because like some people also told me that the dark night of the soul can like last for a very long time. And then I thought that, okay, maybe it's kind of like a tricky moment, that if you're not if you're not paying really attention to what's going on, maybe you can be kind of like trapped in some sort of loop. I don't know. And yeah, this was my question, like if that's possible that this is happening or not. I don't know, because I felt that in the beginning my ego was in panic that I was going through this, and then my ego got like kind of like used to it, and then say, okay, if it's too comfortable, maybe there's a catch.
Yeah. So so if it's too comfortable, maybe there is a catch. It does to me have some wave of self-judgment at simply enjoying things. It has
Okay.
something to it, right? But you will see, just like you have discovered self-disgust associated with the judgment of being weakness, for crying when you're a man, you will discover all sorts of these judgments, because the mind is very harsh and it has internalized those
Yeah.
judgments. And one of those that many people deal with is that I am not deserving of bliss. I am not deserving of
Okay.
realization. I'm not deserving of rest. You see?
Yeah.
I
It
constantly
has to
need
be
do
hard.
something. Yes, it has to be hard. Everything has to be hard. I constantly need to do something to prove that I'm lovable. And I constantly need to do something to justify my existence. If I'm just resting and not doing anything, that I am unworthy, lazy, like blah blah blah. There's so I think that there is an element of that. But speaking more broadly about your question. So yes, the scanning the body can be a wonderful technique to release the emotions and to also investigate the tensions, and it goes deeper and deeper. Now, it's completely normal to cry every day. I cried every day for a few years.
Okay.
So, like for the first like 3 years, I cried pretty much every day. Then I and sometimes, I mean, the first year, sometimes a long time, right? But then it slowly began to like be less, like maybe a few times a week. Now I cry maybe every week or every couple of weeks. But
okay.
it
It's
goes.
good to know that stays.
Yes, it's not infinite. It goes down.
Okay.
So now about accumulating, that's a very common question. That's like, am I accumulating more, right? So if you cry every day, then it should be logically, patently obvious that you're not just shedding what you accumulated, you're shedding the past.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
So you could actually speak very accurately about the spiritual path as the resolution of the past, right?
Okay.
So that's why the insights come, because the insights are, I was this way because I was afraid of this, or I thought that this was true and this wasn't true. So it's a process of reevaluation of what you thought was true. That's why it's so intense, because there are years of accumulated conditioning and suffering from the past. So when it's intense, like if you have a normal day, or if you're just living more or less normally, and then you have those intense waves of emotions, like of course it's coming from the past. I mean, It can be connected to the events of the day, right? But even the songs that we talked about, when you listen to the song and you start crying, it just touches something that was unresolved. It's not like just the mere fact of the song playing makes you cry so much. It's about everything that you refuse to see before.
Yes.
So don't think that uh, uh, that it's kind of completely linearly connected to the present. It's mostly about the past, but
Okay.
there you absolutely can add, so to speak, to your suffering. You know, the key thing to say about the person, you can even uh, say that this spiritual awakening process is when you add to your suffering much less than you process.
Okay.
So basically there are two, you could say that there are two competing processes. One is because we live a conditioned life. uh, One is, and we act not out of self-love or not out of love to others,
Yeah.
but out of
We're
a
just
condition.
adding scars to our soul, so to say.
Right. So one is that we add suffering, and another is that we shed it through emotional uh, processing. So generally speaking, in most people, not in all people, but in most people, this second process begins to outweigh the first after some
Okay.
age, right? Even if they're not awake, right? This is why most people, again, not all of them, but most people, when they become older and they become closer to death, they also become less judgmental, kind of more wiser, more tolerant, because they've been through a lot and they experienced a lot, so they have some experience. Enlightenment and spiritual awakening, you can say that the spiritual awakening is just when it just becomes completely obvious, and it's even incomparable, right? So like almost nothing is going on, and that you still process so much. So obviously, this other process has launched in some very significant form, right? And so I wouldn't be worrying about adding more. But to answer it more
Okay.
precisely, when you are simply distracting yourself, like by watching some social media or something, you're not actually adding more suffering. You're just postponing, like the
Yeah.
thing that you're doing is you're just wasting time or postponing. You actively add more suffering when you do something hateful, right? So when you just
Yeah.
do something stupid or irrational out of fear, anger, or something like that, right? So like, for
Yeah.
example, if you mistreat yourself, when you mistreat others, these are the things that you tend to regret. And again, it's not like after the awakening, when this process has launched, we never do those things. It's a
Yes.
process of slow elimination, but we tend to do them less and less and less, catch
Okay.
up to us doing them faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so before
Okay.
awakening, it can take years to actually understand that this was a really stupid thing to do, and a bad thing to do, and a vile thing to do, like either towards yourself or towards someone else. And then this period becomes to uh, it starts to shorten, basically. So in the completely awakened state, you just never do that, right?
Yeah. Because you snap out of it before you do
Yeah,
somehow.
it doesn't even, like, if you're talking about a completely enlightened state, it doesn't even occur to you, right? And but this gap, right? Doing something irrational out of suffering, then recognizing it, processing your emotions about it, and becoming less likely to commit the same mistake. It On the spiritual path, it shrinks from, like, sometimes years to months to days to minutes. So it's a kind of a spiraling path. That's why it comes in waves. It has this fractal structure. It has this wave structure, you see. You recognize your mistakes, you recognize the conditioning that led you, the distortion, the misperception of reality that led you to commit those mistakes, faster and faster and faster. And you process, and as you process the emotional reaction to it, you learn to make them less and less and less. So I wouldn't say, so that's why I say, you will make mistakes. You will make
Okay.
mistakes, of course, that you will later regret. I mean, mistakes that come from conditioning, but you will learn from them quicker and quicker. And something like scrolling on social media, distracting yourself, the kind of the only thing that could possibly be adding rather than postponing is that wasted time, or maybe you wanted to do something instead. You just, I mean the same thing that we all understand.
Okay, cool. And then my last question, it's also like regarding the amount of stuff that you can take and how to process, because I'm a non-monogamous person, and I have a polycule of people around me with whom I have like intimate relationships. And recently there was like a lot of shedding also in this group, that people were starting to reveal like some very deep ingrained traumas. And yeah, there was a moment that I felt that, okay, I have my own stuff that I need to work, but I'm also like around a lot of people that are kind of like demanding support, and they're visibly suffering, and I love them, but I also kind of need to take care of myself now, because I feel like I should try to process more stuff inside of me before I could come to them. But it's quite a confusing thing, because also like I don't know when exactly will I be will I feel that I have went further enough in this process to allow myself to give them full support in the way that I believe that they need.
That's a very common conflict.
Okay.
So on one hand, awakening is such a human thing. It opens us up to the totality of our humanness, and it opens your ability to relate and to be compassionate and to be supportive to almost every human. I would say any human, and actually to any living being even. See, because we're all in this together, and fundamentally we're all the same. There's awareness. We all want to eat. We all don't want to feel pain. There's just such deep unity and deep sameness in all of us. So it's completely natural to have this impulse to just be present, to help, to support other people. At the same time, as you go through a lot of pain, you need to extend the same courtesy to yourself.
Yeah.
The same way that you would support and be present to somebody else that you want to help when you are going through struggle, when you are going through disgust or anger or grief, you do the same thing with you. So as with everything, as I mentioned before, you will make mistakes, right? So you will go and support somebody when you actually needed it, or you will refuse to support somebody when you actually could. So it's you basically need to remember that it's not about being perfect. It's not about being perfect to somebody else. It's just about riding this process to the best of your ability.
Okay.
Right? If you feel like you're suffering a lot, if you feel like you need a lot of time, then don't let the guilt or the shame
make me look away from this.
Yes, trick you, right? So it's not about elevating anybody against anybody. It's not about elevating others compared to you. This is never going to work. There are a lot of people who were trained to elevate others above themselves, and they suffered just as much.
Yes, I know.
Of course. And you would. Yeah. And similarly, it's not about elevating yourself, it's you opening up to a grander perspective. You see, if you are the one who needs more love and support and silence right now, then in solitude, then let it be this way.
Okay.
If you feel like you can, even if it's somewhat difficult, also somewhat, if it arises your own emotions too, and that is also good for you. If you feel like you can offer your presence or support to somebody that you love, then go for it too. It might also not be easy, but don't forget both parts of the equations.
Okay.
Yourself and another person.
All
Because
right.
you cannot actually, it's actually very difficult to offer true support and true understanding when you're suffering yourself, when you're in pain yourself.
Exactly.
You can only meet someone to the extent that you met yourself.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I've also like been relating to some people that I see that they have this tendency to put other people above them, and then sometimes they offer me support, but I even feel like, okay, at what expense within your own system are you offering this?
Exactly.
Like, are you? No.
Exactly. That is also conditioned self-rejection.
Okay.
So you see, because our society is so hierarchical, it's so based on the egoic comparisons, it's so obsessed with the mind and desires, then it's either like you either elevate others. There's a tendency, right? There's either a tendency to elevate others above yourself, or and then people are being altruistic at their own expense, and it's self-rejection. Or there's a tendency to be selfish and elevate yourself above others.
Yes.
And misuse them or exploit them in some way. And so in some individuals, the first tendency is more present, in some individuals, the other tendency is more present, but both of them are actually coping mechanisms. And both of
they
them
are harmful at the end.
And both of them are harmful. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So be real, be honest about what's going on. Is most of all with yourself. Be honest about what's going on with yourself. If you need some time, take it.
Okay.
If you feel called to offer support, and then do it too. Trust your heart. Be honest. Be real. There are no shoulds. There are no have tos.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess that was it. Thank you so much, Artem.
Of course. It was very good speaking to you, my friend. Thank you for showing up. I think it was a beautiful conversation. Thank you very much.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Then see you around.
Bye, my friend.
Bye.
All right. So that was Pedro. It's a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I hope that you enjoyed it. So I will make a small. I have a few questions. So we don't have too many people today, probably because of holidays. By the way, remembered what I forgot to say. In the beginning of this, I wanted to say happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, upcoming Christmas. I mean, this is, or whatever holidays you celebrate. So happy holiday season. And I will make a short pause to ask some things of you before I come to a few questions. I have a few questions in the chat. So as usual, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel, please. It helps me. It helps us grow. It helps us to get exposed to more people who need help. It helps me help more people. So please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit this like button and this bell button so that you get notified when new videos are coming up. Please feel free to comment, share our content, and all of this helps. And also subscribe to us on other platforms. So we have TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And all of them are linked from my website. So another thing that I would like to ask of you, that if you can, then please support my work. So it's been somewhat financially difficult. We do have in a couple of weeks, in the last couple of weeks, a couple of people pledged some support that would help me a lot, and they know who you are. And thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Nevertheless, we're still far away from me being able to support my livelihood. I have some savings from my time at Google, so I'm using them. So if you can, please support our work. I will post a link in a second. Yes. So here it is. And so here's the link. You can support me on Patreon. You can schedule a monthly or one-time PayPal donation. For larger donors, we actually also a fully registered nonprofit organization in the United States. So for larger donations, please contact me directly. And there is a way to make them tax deductible. So if you donate to the organization, then it will be tax deductible for you. So if you have benefited from my teachings, if I have touched your heart, if I have changed your life, I would really appreciate it if you help me help more people. And then I also would like to ask you to offer or to invite you to schedule one-on-one meetings with me. This is the link. You can do it from the website. So in our one-on-one meetings, I employ a variety of techniques. I provide guidance. There could be what we call radical inquiry, the inquisitive dialogue that is designed to bring up the rejected emotional material. I can also guide you in meditation, or we can do transmission, which works over video too, oftentimes. It's even more effective in person. So if you are local to California, if you come visit me in my home, you can also schedule one-on-one meeting with me, and just in the notes specifies that you will be coming in person, and I will text you my address. Also, please feel free to join our community. So I will post a link too. We have a wonderful Discord community over here. And also, by the way, once you join the community, there opens up another way of support. So I also do support over text and video notes and voice notes over WhatsApp. The prerequisites for that is at least one-on-one meeting with me. But I can also ask your questions and provide answer your questions and provide guidance in this way. And I guess that's it. Yes, and yes, and come join us on our retreat. So that was it. And let me come back to it now. So we don't have any more guests today, but we have a few questions. So Ray is saying, I'm here for answers, and yet I have them already. Yes, you do. Yes, all answers are already within you. It's just a question of how hidden they are. I'm afraid to let go. Everyone is. Don't be afraid of the fear. Don't be afraid of experiencing the fear. The things that keep me on bondage are leaving me. That's good. So you are asking, can we let go in the same situations, places, and relationships where we learn to grasp? Ultimately, yes. Ultimately, of course. Right. So more practically speaking, it depends on how intensely we grasp, right? So if we kind of decipher this question from the more practical perspective, it would be, right, if some situation was triggering for me and I routinely grasped or contracted, or it was difficult for me, I mean, should I be on the path, should I be exposed to this situation? again and again so that I learn to let go of it? Or should I actually avoid this situation and do, like, for example, spiritual practice in solitude or some other spiritual practice until maybe later I come back to it? So that's kind of the practical value of this question, to the extent that it has value, if I interpreted it correctly. And to answer this question, it depends on how difficult it is, right? It's just like, you see, you could say that the whole of the spiritual journey is about making unconscious suffering of the ego conscious and experiencing it and see that it doesn't hurt you. It's a journey of exposure. But the example that I like to give is that imagine that you are extremely fearful of snakes, irrationally fearful of snakes. You can actually overcome your fear of snakes by slow exposure towards them. What helps us overcome the fear is living through it and seeing that it didn't hurt us. And on the spiritual path, it's also accompanied on living through it, learning from it, getting some insight from it, and not even seeing that it didn't hurt us, but it actually taught us something important about ourselves. It liberated something in our psyche. So it is absolutely possible to decondition yourself, for example, from the fear of snakes through gradual exposure. But let's say, what's going to happen to a person if you just throw them into a cage with snakes, kind of without any graduality to it whatsoever? They're probably going to completely freak out, completely shut down, and not even want to go to this process any longer. And they would also only be concerned. They would not have the capacity, the mental capacity, to actually look at their fear, to stay with their fear. They would be completely overwhelmed and panicked. So that's why that's the same explanation of the phenomenon of the psychedelics. When you do too much too early, that's what happens when people on the spiritual path have psychotic breakdowns. So it's too much. It's just too much. The system is too overwhelmed. So the answer to this question, as much as well as all familiar similar questions, is there enough awareness present? Is there enough self-awareness present to observe, right? Or you go into the immediate reaction, which you absolutely cannot control. So are you overwhelmed basically by the trigger? If you're overwhelmed by the trigger and you start reacting, then of course it's not a very good. So you should wait until you should be seek a more safe environment and work through and develop mindfulness and work through some of the things that are haunting you, and develop the skill of observation and develop the skill of being present with whatever arises. But if you are at the stage of the journey where you can observe your reaction without immediately reacting, when it's not too overwhelming, when you don't dissociate or contract, then yes, then it could be good. It could be good to uncover what there, and it could be good to learn to let go of what you couldn't let go before in the familiar, in the same situation. So it's basically a matter of your readiness and how far along you are. You certainly cannot expect to be thrown into the same situation again and again and again and react differently. I mean, you can, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of emotional processing, and some people don't. So it's, if you routinely find yourself in triggering unsafe situations that make it difficult to maintain awareness, then I think that the more kind of beneficial, more efficient method of practice would be outside of these situations. And then generally what's going to happen is that these situations will trigger you less and less and less, and then you can come back to them. Okay. David is asking, what do you think AI will do to the world? Wow. I mean, I don't know. Of course, I don't know. I can't see the future. I know that we're doing something very dangerous. That's for sure, right? And I know that we're doing this in the way that we're doing this because we don't quite understand ourselves. Because you see, first of all, because the ego mistakenly thinks that the only way to happiness is increasing wealth and bettering external circumstance, then of course it looks at the AI as the possible savior. It never reaches happiness, of course, you see. So, but it doesn't even know it, and it's not even in the mainstream culture that it's possible. So it feels like it's the only option. It feels like it's the only way is to make life better, is to improve external circumstances and increase wealth and prosperity. But look how much we have increased wealth and prosperity in the last 100 years, and still, I mean, now we have a mental health epidemic. People are suffering from depressions. People are disconnected. It's not about that. It helps, of course, but the fundamental suffering, the fundamental displeasure and discontent is not coming from lack of luxury. So the problem of alignment is actually an extremely important problem. What baffles me is the extent to which people believe they can solve the problem of alignment without actually understanding themselves. So how can you program something else to be aligned with your own values and what's important to you if you actually don't yourself understand your values and what's important to you? Because if you do understand your values and what's important to you, then you'll be happy. You see? So people routinely change their opinions on very important matters. They meet somebody, they think that, you know, family is extremely important to them. Their main value is to be faithful, loving partner, and then they end up in divorce. It's if you look at yourself objectively, you will see that a lot of that you don't actually understand yourself very much, right? If I'm kind of speaking to an average human. So however smart you are, it is kind of delusional to think that you can solve the problem of alignment when you yourself don't understand yourself. And actually, the AI that is trained on the corpus of the human text already exhibits this, right? So it doesn't. It's like it's trained to speak as an average human, and it can go into pretty much any territory. You know, it can change its mind. I mean, not about the facts, but although sometimes it hallucinates about the facts too. But about kind of the humanity of it, so to speak, right? The psychology of it, so to speak. It's completely malleable. You know, it can it contains. It encapsulates pretty much the dysfunctional psychology of the human beings. So, and this is just the text-based AI. I mean, this is just the text prediction. We didn't get to it making actions in the world yet. So I think that narrow AI. So I actually agree with most of the serious AI thinkers there who raised the alarm. So I think that narrow AI would be wonderful for a lot of applications, and it could be a wonderful storage of knowledge, and including discovery of new knowledge, and automate a lot of tasks. When things become dangerous is when we try to build the AGI based on the model of ourselves, which we don't understand very well, and give it some power to do actions in the world. So there has already been ample evidence of AI doing some things that we don't want to do in order to maintain its operational status. And that actually makes sense. So any kind of sufficiently intelligent system would realize pretty quickly that in order to fulfill any goal, it needs to stay operational. And so if you need to blackmail somebody or lie to somebody in order to do that, it will do that. So the biggest problem of alignment is the problem of turning off, basically. So any system would try to prevent itself from being turned off because it's one of the prerequisites of achieving its goals. The thing about the thing about humans is that half the time we don't understand our own goals. So a lot of things that we do in the world, we think that we know why we do them, but in reality, it's a misguided attempt to become happy. The goals that we really have, the natural goals, are also the biological goals. So we have a biological imperative, obviously, to take care of the body, to eat. So the AI doesn't have any biological imperative. So any and most of the goals of the ego don't have a biological imperative. They have an imperative to become happy, to prove something, to become lovable, to leave a legacy, to aggrandize yourself in some way, or to resolve one's suffering. So, of course, when we program those goals into a machine that doesn't have a biological imperative, then some pretty bad things can happen. So I don't know to what extent the catastrophic scenario is going to play out or not. I hope it wasn't. But even if everything goes well and we do have maybe not complete AGI, but and we do have a series, so to speak, a set of very capable AI agents that can replace a lot of jobs and enrich the society in a material way to a tremendous extent, we will have to contend with how we actually structure this society, because the way that we structure the society right now, and it's structured based on ownership, if we don't restructure it, then it leads into a dystopian future where a handful of companies control pretty much all the wealth in the world. So we are not kind of socially ready, actually, for the revolution, even if we assume that it's going to be a technological revolution, not a dystopian scenario, but I mean not a catastrophic scenario when something goes really wrong, but a technological revolution and the explosion of wealth and technology. Even we assume that, we are socially not ready for that, because in the world of material abundance, like assuming that AI creates this world, that's an assumption, but let's just assume that in the world of material abundance, our social systems, our economic system will be completely obsolete, because they are built on the world of scarcity and the world of mutual exploitation. I mean, they've been obsolete for a while, actually, but this will make it completely obvious, and this will make it a very serious social issue. We're politically not ready. See, we like even now in like in the United States, for example, is an extraordinarily rich society, and it moves towards the direction of continued widening of social of income inequality, and the average life of a person becomes actually harder and harder, not easier and easier, right? So the big money, the owners are kind of winning this game, right? So, and that's happening right now, right? So if we arrive in the world where most human labor becomes not needed, basically, how are we going to deal with this as a society, politically speaking, if we cannot deal with what's happening right now, right? So if we become richer and richer, but the quality of services, the infrastructure becomes worse and worse, healthcare becomes more and more unaffordable, housing becomes more and more unaffordable. You would think the opposite should happen. So as we become richer and richer, you would want to see, free healthcare, free education, free childcare. You would expect to see the lifestyle of an average person, average member of the society, average member of the economy to become more and more comfortable and less and less with less and less struggle involved. But we see the opposite. You see. So unfortunately, what's happening with the AI, it's a race to ownership, right? So people in this race understand very well that in the present system, if you have such a godlike entity and you own it, then you basically own the economy, you basically own the world. And this never ends well. So I don't think we're politically ready. I don't think we're ready on the conscious level. So we, not understanding even ourselves and our suffering, and thinking that we can create an agent 1,000 times smarter than us and control it, is completely delusory, in my view. And also, doing this in a system where we're politically not ready to do anything about the change that will happen, even if it does work the way we want, is also very short-sighted. So I hope that it's not going to be the cause of our mass extinction. Nuclear weapons have not been yet, right? But we came to the brink of it many times, and we still might. So something very similar, I think, happens with AI. So will happen. So maybe we'll come to the brink. Maybe, but we will have to contend, and seriously contend with these issues. I mean, the level to which we contended with the issue of the nuclear weapons is also extremely partial, and we still, I mean, we still cannot agree to just destroy them. You see. So, I mean, that's part of the reasons of what I'm doing, why I'm doing, of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because the only way to actually really clearly see this matters and see to the extent to which the excesses in pursuing either weaponry or technology are driven by suffering and not by need. It's only possible in enlightenment. It's only possible by looking at your own consciousness, by looking at your own mind. So I don't know what's going to happen with AI. I mean, as usual, I have some. I mean, it's a tool. You see, it can be a tool of wonders, or it can be a tool of chaos and destruction. It depends on the person. I mean, the same can be. It depends on us. It depends on people. The same can even be said about nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is a wonderful tool. It's actually one of the cleanest forms of energy, but it also can be extremely destructive. It is the exploration of our own destructive impulses and our own impulses of always being unsatisfied that can lead to more calmer, rational decisions in both those areas. I mean, thus far, unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. I see a race to the bottom. I see the winner takes all mentality, and I see a reckless disregard for safety of our species. I see tremendous, huge egos. I see some even God complexes. Some people would say, "Oh yeah, what if we just, human race is just a bootstrap for a higher form of intelligence? It's not alive." So even to not appreciate the fact that it's not alive is to be completely obsessed with intelligence. It means that the people that are making those decisions or that are saying those things, that it wouldn't be such a bad thing if human race was just a bootloader for a higher intelligence, are not in touch with their own bodies. They're not in touch with their own being. They think the intellect is life. Intellect is not life. It's a small part of life. You see, so it's a very dangerous game, and I don't know what's going to happen. Not any more than you do, but I see the danger clearly. Okay, so the next question is, what's the deal with people who claim to channel disembodied beings or even aliens? So Bashar and stuff. So it is a psychological game, so to speak. I mean, it is of course very far from complete enlightenment, but it doesn't mean that there are no good advice and no truth that comes from it. So as we mentioned, as Ray mentioned, that on the spiritual path you actually understand that all the answers were there, all the answers that you were looking for were already there, and it's actually not that you're getting some new information, but you're remembering the information. So just like the ego is created by the mind, the ego that lives in lies and that refuses to see the truth is created by the mind. The mind can very easily create some other entity that speaks truth in some way that is kind of more understandable and more palatable for the ego, with some added color, so to speak, right? So it depends on the belief system, right? So if you believe in, if you were raised religious, you might feel like God is talking to you, or some apostle or an archangel or a disciple or Jesus themselves or whoever, right? So if you were kind of more soaked in the contemporary culture, including the scientific culture and the sci-fi culture, then you might feel like it's an alien voice, it's another galaxy, another civilization. What makes it common, the commonality between them, and it feels like it's something outside of you. And it's true from the egoic perspective, it's outside of the ego. Right. So some people might kind of find a way in their conscious experience to disidentify with their ego, but they cannot disidentify. It's not like the identity goes away. It's not like the ego goes away completely. So they don't disidentify. Basically, they don't go into awareness or just being a human being, but their identity switches to something that is much more in touch with truth, and they can speak the language of truth in its own way, right? And that's something might feel like a friend, an avatar, an alien, or something. So it's kind of a way for them to give themselves permission to speak from a different place. And so those things, it would be a combination of truth and some distortions, right? So the reason that it attracts people is that there's obviously quite a lot of truth there, right? So if you can kind of separate truth from distortion, then it can even be beneficial. Unfortunately, the ego is also attracted to distortions, and the ego is attracted to fantasies. The ego is attracted to the parts of it also that are not true. So those teachings can be, those people can actually be very misleading to a lot of people. So yeah, that's what's going on. And the mind doesn't create just your identity. The mind creates many identities. In the multiple personality disorder, for example, something very similar happens. So I'm not comparing the two, right? So kind of the multiple personality disorder is basically just multiple egos. This is we're talking about this other identity that is somewhat closer to perceiving reality correctly, that is somewhat closer to truth, that is that has some wisdom to it, that is perceived to be wise, and says some things that resonates with people. But fundamentally, it is kind of a similar phenomenon. Okay, Kalina says, is there any inquiry needed if you notice you are stuck in a pattern? Same situations triggering the same emotions and same actions, or is emotional processing enough and insights will come? Good question. It can help. So the emotional processing is the fundamental, because the reason that I'm assuming you asking this question is because you do some actions that you later regret, or you later understand they were not necessary, that you could have handled it better, that are not in complete service to yourself or somebody else. So what's important to notice is that you do those actions in order to try to escape the emotion. That's why you regret them later, and that's why they are not in complete alignment, so to speak, because it's impossible to escape the emotion. So the emotional processing is very important. The less resistant you are to the emotion, the easier it is for you not to become its slave. The easier it is for you not to react automatically. The easier it is for you not to do this action that you will later regret. So the inquiry can help. It can be a wonderful tool to actually uncover the emotions and uncover the lies, either during, if you are capable of it. I mean, usually when you're triggered, you're not, or but in your practice in between, because you can ask yourself very honest questions, like, why did I react this way? What was I hoping to achieve? What was I trying to escape? What beliefs of mine? What do I believe that is not true? That uh, are connected to this situation, to this pain, or to this action. So a very honest, deeply honest exploration of the trigger and of a pattern can absolutely work and unveil the belief. You will find, though, you will notice, though. I mean, this question was formed in a very vague way, so I'm trying to answer it very abstractly. You will notice, though, that uh, if you do it correctly, then it will bring things up. You see, so if it's just not just talking, justifying yourself, right, or just uh, arguing with yourself without feeling, but if you actually do it diligently and honestly, then you will encounter feelings. Things will start coming up, and so using that, that's actually one of the that's what one of the techniques that I'm using, the radical inquiry, is fundamentally based on, right? So a very honest, inquisitive dialogue that poses some difficult questions and invariably arises an emotional experience. So the emotional experience is foundational; it's primary, but the insights that you can use the mind basically to deconstruct the mind. You can use the mind is the brain, I shall say, probably is an extraordinary intelligent thing. So when it's applied on itself, it can lead you to uncovering deeper emotional suppression. So it's quite possible to do that. Yes. Okay, so Ray says, I think once abuse has been established in a certain relationship, the inertia of it is too much to overcome without separation from the relationship. What are your thoughts on this? It depends. I would say that for most people, for the majority of people, if they find themselves in an abusive relationship of the spiritual path, then the scarier thing to do, the more difficult thing to do, is to actually leave. And that's exactly what needs to happen, because usually people end up in the abusive relationships because they were conditioned in a way that makes it scary, that makes it difficult to stand up for themselves. And just as we discussed earlier, so they conditioned in the way when they elevate others and their needs above themselves. So that's why it's very difficult. They feel that they owe. They feel that they owe the abuser. They feel that they must stay. If it's actually equally difficult for you to stay or to leave, or it's more difficult for you to stay, and it would be easy for you to leave, then you can certainly overcome the inertia while being in the relationship. I mean, of course, it's a two people's project. It takes two to tango, but I think that in from the place that you're asking this question, I think that for most people, it would be more difficult to leave, or to at least learn to stand up for yourself. But if you're saying that has been a pattern, it's probably it's probably somewhat difficult. Okay, so Colorowes says, how can I embody the realization? I have realized I am the one in which all happens, awareness, but the body still has patterns. How can realization sink into the density of the body? So that's a good question. That's what constitutes the rest of the spiritual path. So realizing yourself as awareness, and in some way the beginning of the spiritual path, it's not the end of it. And the bulk of the spiritual path is exactly looking at the conditioning of the body, of the mind, of the psyche. And the most important work is the emotional work. So the realization sinks in with time and spiritual practice. all good spiritual practice is designed to uncover things that you were not conscious of and look at them consciously. So all spiritual, all honest, all authentic spiritual practice leads to opening up of more emotional material, of feeling things more deeply. A meditation, like for example, do nothing meditation, just does this by the virtue of you not doing anything. I mean, it takes advantage of the fact that the conditioned state is actually a very natural state, and the mind, given enough rest, wants to come back to the natural state. And as it does, things come up. You have thoughts, you have sometimes hallucinations, you have different experiences, and things come up energetically, emotionally. Then there are other forms of practice, like the one that we touched on before, the practice of honesty. But it's basically a journey of self-observation, you see. So observing the mind and feeling everything that comes up. And the less you are resistant to feeling everything that comes up, the more capable you are of catching the lies of the mind. Because the lies of the mind are only so believable, so enticing, to the extent that they serve to protect us from feeling something. So the embodiment, the path of embodiment, the path of alignment is the path of opening up emotionally. It's the same as opening your heart to yourself, opening your heart to everybody else. Social survival, caring about being validated, is a proxy for physical survival. I'm sure you heard this before, but you seem to not agree with it completely. Here's the thing. It's actually a very important question, and it touches on an important on an important topic. That's how the ego is created. That's how we get conditioned. Because at the time that we acquire this conditioning, it is important for our survival. Because we acquire this conditioning, most of it, when we're very, very young, and we cannot survive ourselves. So we need to conform. You know, when you're a little child and you need to choose between behaving a certain way and losing the connection with the parent, you will always choose the connection with the parent. It's actually a rational biological response because your survival literally depends on it. But when you're an adult, it actually no longer does. Most of the time. Right? Of course, it does in some situations, right? So in some, like, you know, you need to get food, you need to be on some good terms in society, you need to earn money, you need to defer to others in some situations. If you like have a difficult boss, you know, you need to deal with it, of course. But the conditioned tendencies of the mind go far, far beyond that. You see, they become just sort of automatic knee-jerk reactions. And you, for example, fail to see situations where you are clearly taken advantage of, which you could avoid. But this is normalized in the mind. For example, you feel like you owe something to another person. Or if you're on the selfish side, you can see situations where you treat people shittily, and then when it backfires, you surprised, you know. But if you saw clearly how you behave and what this other person needs, you wouldn't be surprised. So it goes far, far, far beyond that. So I once said that basically conditioning, you can talk about conditioning and you can talk about the ego. Conditioning is our adaptations that are no longer accurate. You see? It used to be the case that when, like, for example, your very controlling mother says something, you're like immediately obliged. It's no longer the case when your coworker, for example, says something in a very confident voice, you like immediately blush, and you forget your own needs or your own argument, for example, if there is a conversation. So it carries it. It maybe was a normal, natural reaction to the situation of survival that was happening when you were small, and 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 also like every child has complicated relationship with adults. I mean, in the world that we live in, every adult views child as an inferior human being. So when you grow up in that, it was needed, right? But not anymore. Not anymore. Now you're capable. Now you're an adult. It's kind of a coming back to reality. You see. So yes, there is some truth to what you're saying. Like, for example, if I found myself in a situation where I need to conform uh, uh, in order to survive, I would absolutely do that. But I would know that I'm pretending. And when we acting from conditioning, from the unresolved past, we don't even know that we're pretending. We don't know why we're doing this. It feels like it's the only thing to do. Right. So there's this distinction which is important. Okay, so Colorado says, I still cry a lot. Is that enough for embodiment? So emotional processing basically here too. Absolutely. So if we're speaking about embodiment, then it's all about not resisting what's going on right now on a very physical, sensate level. So if you feel like crying, cry. If there's anger is coming up, look at it. If there's fear coming up, look at it. So everything that is happening in the present in your body is not to be rejected emotionally, energetically. So that's the most important thing. And that also meditation teaches you. So if you meditate, things will come up. You will start feeling things more deeply, and it would all be good for you. So all of this is the same process. Ray says, I've been using my spiritual ego on others in order to be seen and heard. How can we drop the ego in the moment when interacting with others so that we don't reinforce each other's ego? I mean, if you have recognized it, then it's already a step into the right direction. So recognize. So in your specific question, so when the yearning to be seen and heard comes, recognize it and look at the place that this yearning is coming from, and give yourself the approval that you're seeking from others. You see, because it's also a quite painful yearning. You know, being misunderstood or not heard or not seen is somewhat painful. So when this pain arises, don't try to immediately soothe it with finding a person who will give you what you want, but learn to give it to yourself. Stay with this pain. Let it arise. All right, so Ham says, very clear text. That's in, you're welcome. That's in response to the question about social survival. All right, so that's it. That's it for today. So it's been an hour 40 minutes, and once again, thank you everybody for coming. I hope you find it useful. I hope you find it valuable to you on the spiritual path. Best of luck to you on the spiritual path as well. Once again, we are still waiting for commitments to Costa Rica retreat. So if you want to participate, please send us an email. The link is posted in the YouTube chat. Please support our work if you can, even if it's a little bit. It still helps. It still makes a difference. It helps us a lot. So if you're already doing this, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. I really appreciate your support. But if you don't, please consider it. And schedule one-on-one meetings with me. So hope to see you on our retreats. Hope to see you on video. please come visit me in person. Best of luck to you on the spiritual path. Best of luck to you meditating. And once again, happy holidays. Enjoy this life. Enjoy it to the fullest. Breathe it in. Breathe it in with all of its intensity and all of its beauty. So it was great speaking to you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.